welcome or welcome back. My name is Brittany, and today's video I will be chatting all about the Liveship Traders Trilogy by Robin Hobb. I hope you enjoy my like pirate gypsy vibe for the video. Anyways, this is a trilogy set in her world, the realm of the Elderlings. This is a preferred reading order I have up on the screen. It starts with Farseer Trilogy, so I have now completed the second series in this world. In this series, we have a Ship of Magic, the Mad Ship, and Ship of Destiny. One thing I want to mention right off the bat is I have seen some recommendations and things online where you can read the Liveship Traders Trilogy first. I agree, you could, but I don't think you should. So I think if you are a reader who really enjoys just a layered story, lots of complexity, you know, just putting in that time to get a lot of really good payoff for reveals and information with the characters in the world, I think you would appreciate reading Farseer Trilogy first, because there are things mentioned in Liveship Traders. There may or may not be a character that but there would be some things, and it would be really unsatisfying for you. If you probably wouldn't even pick up on it, honestly. You would just be like reading this like, oh, that was kind of a weird scene, I don't really get that, and you would move on with your life. But if you know, you know. And it was really fun. But nothing necessarily is spoiled going from Liveship Traders to Farseer or Farseer to Liveship. You're not gonna ruin the, ending of either series if you read Liveship Traders first. But just reading it in recommended, reading order, I do think Farseer first and then Liveship Traders was the right call for me personally. If you want to know more about the Farseer trilogy, I have a video here I did chatting all about it. I kept it spoiler free, and I intend to do the same today. And I think I'm gonna chat about these things in a way where you could watch either video as well, just to get more information to see if this world, these series are right for you. If you want to dive into the realm of the Elderlings, you can join me on this journey, because as you can see, it is 16 books. It's a process. So I have been working on these audiobooks since October. So all of October and most of November, I was just listening to Anne Flosnick do the narration. And at first it was kind of a jarring situation, a jarring transition. So I read all of Farseer via audio as well, maybe took an hour break and jumped right into Liveship Traders Trilogy. That was a lot there for a second, because the audio narrator obviously changes. It's a different series, it's a different world. But it was more so just the tone and the way the story was told. So the Farseer Trilogy is first person, single point of view. We are only following Fitz from the age of 6 to about 20. In Liveship Traders, we get multiple characters, like an entire family, multiple generations, people from different cities. It's a massive cast compared to Fitz's story, and having it then be told in third person was also very interesting. But once I got just situated, once I was in the world, we were in it, I really enjoyed the way it was told. I don't think Robin Hobb could have told the story in the way she did if she had stuck with first person, single point of view. I think she had to open it up to other characters, and I'm really glad she did, because there's some really fantastic character arcs in this book that I would have been bummed to have missed if we had followed, say, a different person. Also, just the narrator's narration style. She definitely gives people voices, and I was talking like a pirate for weeks. It's so stupid. But it was a very engaging listen, so highly recommend. One thing I will say about the overall pace is I did not realize how long these books were. They're so long. So there were definitely a few moments, maybe 2 or 3 that stand out, where I was like, wow, this is taking a while. But when I actually looked up the page count and just sat with how long these audiobooks truly are, it makes sense to just naturally have some slower parts. The physical books themselves are 800 pages. And this does look kind of chunky, but it's a mass market paperback. But they're minimum 800 pages, and the audiobooks are 30 to 35 hours each. God, that's a long series, and I did not realize that. So upon reflection, I think the pace was actually pretty good. The same thing I said about the Farseer trilogy, I think holds true here. This is very character driven. I wouldn't say it's necessarily action-packed. It doesn't follow like the pacing of like a young adult fantasy, right? Where it's just like action, 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 and there's all this crazy stuff happening all the time. It is a lot slower, but when you do get action, which there is, when it does happen, it is very satisfying, and the payoff is really, really wonderful because you have spent so much time with these characters and you understand their motivations, their actions, why things are happening the way they're happening. You really do feel a lot more connected when these big things inevitably occur. So what the heck is this series about? Felt like there's a lot of just like prep work for you. This series is following the Vestrit family, and they are a trading family in Bingtown. In this world, in the realm of the Elderlings, we're down from the 6 duchies. The Vestrit family contains Ephraim and Ronica, which are the parents, Althea, who is, I think she's the youngest sister, her older sister, Kefria, and her husband, Kyle. They have 3 children. And then we also follow one of the shipmates, and we follow a pirate and the satrap of Jamalia, who is like the ruling city of Bingtown, Divvytown, and all these small trading communities. We get to follow the political power as well. We also meet some Rainwilders, which I think we're going to go back to in the Rainwild Chronicles, which is the 4th series in this world. Just a little bit we get of them was really interesting. So I'm excited to see how their world and their neck of the woods is, because what we did get was kind of cool. Kind of liked them. The story starts with Ephraim Vestrit passing away. And the coolest thing about this world is the Liveships themselves. The Vestrit family owns the Vivacia, and you have your ship, right? Your wooden ship, but it's made out of wizard wood, and the figurehead, like I feel like we always see like the mermaids at the front, they're like actually like people. Like they can move and talk. They have like memories stored from previous captains. So when a live ship is in a family, it's in a family for a very long time. The captain passes away, their memories and essence is like given to the ship, and then the ship is essentially like reborn. And they have like some recollection and some connections to things, but they're very much childlike when they're kind of reborn again and bonding with a new captain. They can, like I mentioned, talk out loud, but they also just have this like internal magical bond with their captain. They can feel the ship. So if cargo is misloaded, they could feel it. If the winds are coming from a south direction, or the tide is doing this, then they could talk to their captain and like work together. Like the ship itself is very much an entity and a being. So Ephraim Vestrit has passed away, and Althea, his daughter, is like convinced. She's like, I grew up on this ship, like me and Vivacia, like we're tight, and I'm totally gonna be captain. Until she's not. The ownership and captainship of the Vivacia is given over to Kefria and her husband Kyle, and Kyle decides to get into the slave trade. So there is a lot of just upset in Bingtown already between old traders and new traders and Rainwilders. There's a few different groups of people that are just not getting along. And then we have the satrap coming in to try to take over again, kind of squash some of the old trader ways, make them more compliant to the government, and then introduce slave trade as like a money-making opportunity. So there's a lot happening in Bingtown and to this family. I think the strength in this series is certainly the character work. There was one character in particular who I did not like. Oh, they drove me crazy. They drove me crazy. But they had like the best character arc I think I have read in a while. Like, you took me from like actively disliking this person to rooting for them, feeling for them. I was like, oh my God, they had me tearing up a few times. I was like, it was so good. Then you had another character who was arguably like a bad guy, but doing good things, but still a bad guy, and like super manipulative, and like, oh, the gaslighting and all the scheming he did was wild. But then you really empathized with who he is and what he's been through, but then he did something really fucking bad, and you're like, wow. But then more things happen, and you're like, oh, now I kind of feel bad. Like, it was just a weird like back and forth, and I think Robin Hobb really captured humanity really well. Just how complex humans are, the emotions we have, the choices we make based on what's happened in experiences, like all of that she just captured really well in characters that demonstrate that. Like, they are messy, they don't always make sense, but their histories, their experiences, all that plays into their actions. The world itself is really fun. We meet some sea serpents. We get more, like I mentioned, lore to the overall realm of the Elderlings. Some beings we met in Farseer may or may not come up in Liveship Traders. Just more of that lore. It is kind of a dark world too. There's definitely like death and battles and slavery. The women are not treated well in this world, but despite all this like hardship, pretty amazing. I think that is all I want to say. If you want to check this out, just to recap, I do recommend reading Farseer first. You can pick up the Liveship Traders trilogy if you really want some like pirate seafaring action. You could still do it, but I would then recommend going back to Farseer before you continue on in this world. The world itself is just so lovely. I found this really amazing map online. If I can find who created it, I will share this below. But we spend a lot of time in the Wild Sea. We are in Bingtown and Traders Bay. We definitely spend a ton of time in the Pirate Isles and Divvy Town. Here be serpents. It's so good. It's so good. And it was such like a cool place because then they reference the Six Duchies, like, oh, they let their women in the Six Duchies on ships, or they do, this in the Six Duchies, those Six Duchy barbarians, like, but if you've read Farseer, you know the Six Duchies, and it's just kind of funny. It was such a just lovely story. I highly recommend this series and world so far. So if you join me, let me know what you think. Tell me your pirate name down below. And I will see you in the next one. Bye!